it kind of published an ad or something first. But hey, folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. I'm here with OhHowHappyGardener. We both grow gardens here in our hometown, pretty close to each other, and we've done some visits and some garden stuff. And Charlie helped me cut down the tree last year, and I helped fix his cars, and we're kind of always doing stuff. So we thought we would do a kind of a hangout, and the link to his channel is down below. So go give him a like and subscribe.
I appreciate that.
So I am like a super Mittleider gardener, and you mix like little tiny jars of Mittleider.
Yeah, I'm experimenting with it. So
you kind of still believe in the whole soil food web myth, right? Like,
Well, I'm trying. It's philosophically, I believe in it.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good idea.
Well, I mean, you use some weekly feed and just throw it down along the plants and stuff. So
I do, yeah. I just I'm not real precise. Let's put it that way. I'm kind of toying around with it, and it's a very forgiving method.
So you're not really actually tilling anymore, right? I mean, you just kind of work the soil by the plants. Is that?
Well, it depends. If my dad's helping me, I'm tilling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's kind of old school on that, and there's a point when he gets real frustrated it depends. If I'm not getting out there as much as he'd like me to, he starts to get frustrated, and then we'll break the tiller out and just start going to town.
And you're just tilling at that point for weed control? I mean, you're not tilling in the soil before you plant, really, or?
Yeah. I am tilling some. I'm not setting it super deep though. We're only doing a couple inches, like the first 2 or 3 inches at most. I'm not cranking it down, and I'm not passing, running it over the same plot 3 times. I'm passing over it maybe once, maybe twice to break it up, but it's still pretty big aggregates. So I'm not completely destroying all the
I till as deep as I possibly can and grind up as many earthworms as I possibly can, and because I don't care about the soil at all, other than if it's going to have potatoes in it, I'll add some peat moss to make them a little easier to dig them out. But I'll grow in rock hard clay, without any real problems.
Yeah, and it's working out pretty well for you. At least the 1 year I came over there when you were real serious about it. Last year you didn't really do much with it. You kind of
last year, so I kind of went carnivore mostly. So now that there's kind of a meat shortage that's coming up, I'm starting to eat some lower carb veggies again, or if I eat higher carb veggies, then I just eat once a day, because there's just not an endless supply of meat, and it's not any sales on meat. So I'm trying to, but so last year I just didn't care. I'm like, you know what? I just want chuck roast. So, but now, the prices are going to get horrible, I have a feeling, at the store. And I'd rather eat carb food once a day to maintain my ketosis throughout the rest of the day than to just not have anything to eat. Although I still weigh enough that I could not eat anything for 6 months and I'd be fine. So,
it's tough. I've not been eating super well. Let's see what I had this morning. I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for breakfast and some coffee. And then for lunch, I splurged. I went over to Penn Station, got a carry-out sub, spent some money, and then went to Dunkin' Donuts and got me a caramel coffee for lunch.
So like for breakfast, I had like a half a pound of bacon and 6 eggs. And then at lunch, I think I had eggs and onions and a chicken breast and a couple hot dogs fried in lard. And then for dinner, let's see. Oh, I had my wife made eggs with onions in them. So,
Oh, no. Well, it sounds
so
like you're
I need to
getting your
throw some broccoli in there. Yeah.
Yeah, my big thing, I got to cut back on sugar a little bit. That or I need to increase, I need to exercise more, get more, I need to burn it off. But eating the sugar and the carbs and then not doing a whole lot, that's not good. Because then that just, it turns into fat, or I just don't feel super great, So we mowed grass tonight, push mowed, weed eated, all that. So that helped, at least burned off my dinner a little bit.
Yeah. I ran over on my lunch hour and got a truckload of stuff out of my storage unit, and then after work I went through all that stuff, and it's amazing what a computer guy can collect in a storage unit after 20 years. I kept some of it because a lot of it's really old classic hardware now, and if it works, it sells for big money on eBay for people trying to build old like gaming machines and stuff. So I found some old 16-bit Sound Blaster cards, and like I think I like 25 of them, and those things can go for $150 a piece now for people building gaming machines. So I think there might be some money there. I found all my wireless stuff, so I can get my wireless link up to the shed so I can live stream from out there. And then I'm planning on putting up a Wise Cam, and I'm going to change the firmware on it so that it can actually broadcast up to Twitch. So there will be a live stream of my garden 24/7 that people can watch.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you're in your basement right now, huh?
Yeah, I'm down in the basement. Like my plants over here beside me. This is my.
I get it.
Let's see. This is a mortgage lifter here. Get on camera.
Well, yours is further along. Well, but I didn't start yours or anything till about what, last week?
Yeah.
2 weeks?
Well, I started mine like 2 weeks ago, and so maybe even close to 3. And then some of them died, and I transplanted. I planted 3 in each container, so I just moved them so that there's a live one in each container. And then
mine is. They're getting there.
Yeah, that's where mine were last week.
So yeah, I'm probably about a week behind. I started late this year.
Well, the first couple weeks there, the first week I was trying to just sit them out in the sun, and then one day they got too much sun, I burned them. That's what killed some of them. And so then I got the grow lights that you gave me, but then I had all the problem with the ballast and the small fire and the smoke, and so I only have one grow light working. So now I've got them both working. I've got one turned off right now because it's too bright, but they really seem to like having more light. That really just made them kind of explode. And then a couple of them started getting some little interveinal yellow spots in the leaves, which is magnesium. So I gave them just a pinch of extra Epsom salt and some constant feed, and fed them tonight. So I'm using that burpee seed starter mix, and it says it's got everything the plants need for their first weeks of growth, but evidently not. So I'll have to.
Yeah, my buddy last week was looking at. He's texting me. He's at the store. Like, what should I pick up for that lettuce box? And I was like, well, if I were you, I would just wait and have you give me, have me give you some. So that's what I did. I gave him some Pro Mix and the stuff I've got here, the worm castings and all that, and then gave him a bottle. I made up a mix of that weekly feed for him, a pint of this stuff. This stuff's so easy to make.
Yeah, see, if he's got that, he just needs some clay. It's fine. You can just go dig some clay out of the backyard.
Exactly. Yeah, so, but I don't know, tomorrow we got a game plan. We're going to get up. We're going to go get some breakfast. I go out with my wife. We try to spend like one day where we're just kind of getting on the same page about stuff. Come back, and then I'm taking all the kids out with me to the garden. we're gonna work out there and then probably have lunch with my dad. So I might make a video depending on how that all plays out. And I'm hoping to get a lot of stuff done. I hope my onion sets come in the mail tomorrow because I got an email notice they shipped them out earlier this week.
That's cool.
So I'm hoping
if you happen to have a couple of extra onion sets, I might try one more time. Somebody told me like you got to cover around them, and that helps. I might try that. I don't know. But
yeah,
I think my garden to die. Well, they come to my yard. The onions come to my garden for big, huge green tops and no onions. So.
Yeah, I made one of those Mittleider templates that LDS prepper had, where you take the 8-foot board and you put the dowel rods on the opposite, like one at 6 inch, the other at 7-inch intervals. So I've got an 8-foot template that I'm going to use like once we break up the ground to plant them. Also got, I got to go get it. I'll show you.
Hey, BC Truck, rebuild, repair, repurpose. Love your channel. Bacon wrapped, butter dipped, deep fried hot dogs. Oh, yeah. Butter is the stuff. Don't want none of that nasty margarine.
Yeah, speaking of butter, we're probably going to go mushroom hunting too at some point. Make some fried stuff. But I got this. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, that's the little auger planter thing?
It's basically an auger planter, so I'm going to give that a try too.
I had one of those like years and years ago, but I must have lost it when I moved or something. I've never seen it since. I think I found it at Lowe's or something one year.
Yeah, we tried it earlier this winter. I about broke my wrist. Going in the ground, whatever, that thing just zipped down and then locked up. So anyway, we're going to give that a try on some of the stuff too. And then, of course, Dad's got the power auger. We're going to give that a try. I'm kind of curious about that because that might be a happy medium where we're not, maybe we won't till any of that bed, but just where we're going to plant.
Yeah.
Because the bit on it is about 6 inches wide, and just kind of go down and rough it up and then drop the plant in there without tearing up the whole strip, keep the weeds down. And then I got all that leaf mulch around now. My plan is to kind of pull it around so that I keep stuff from getting crazy. So yeah, that's kind of the.
Yeah, I've added leaf mulch to my garden before, but I dig up the soil and put the chopped up leaves under the soil for the winter, so that they harbor all the pests and disease.
If you need any extra, I got there's in some places up to a foot of this stuff that's still in our side. The county or the township bring out 2 dump truck loads of leaves. We spread it out, and not a lot of them broke down. So we didn't get it on there till December, and it didn't snow a whole lot, this past year. So
by the end of this summer, though, they'll probably be gone. They'll just disappear.
They will melt
here all of a sudden.
Again, with the kids running down the trails and stuff, they will eventually, I guess, evaporate. So I don't know how much carbon I'm putting in the air. I'm not sequestering any of that carbon. It's probably breaking out and then just going.
Carbon. Yeah. That's you want to put carbon in the air because it's good for your plants. They breathe carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
I'm just helping my plants. But yeah, I got my spaghetti winter squash that I'm going to be planting here.
That's awesome.
I love spaghetti squash, but this is the first time I've tried to grow it. So
you get that at Tractor Supply?
I'm Amazon.
Okay.
I ordered them like 4 weeks ago, and they finally showed up today.
Yeah, did you see where was it Amazon? What was it, Instacart? And there was maybe it was Walmart employees on strike or organized some kind of sit out. Did you see that?
That's all we need is for Amazon to go down right now. Life is over. Then I really got to dip into my preps.
So let me get my onions first, then you guys can strike.
Yeah. I'm gonna do my prolific straight neck squash, which is just the it's the standard yellow straight neck squash. I've had those seeds for years, but they always grow. And then these are like 2 years old. I'm gonna plant a couple pumpkins for my son. These are Connecticut field pumpkins. They're jack-o'-lantern sized pumpkins.
Oh wow.
And then I'm gonna go ahead and try butternut squash. I tried this before, and I don't think they germinated, but this is a different pack of seeds, so we'll see. I kind of like, even on this stuff that you can direct sow, I find it's just better if you start it indoors if you can, because then you know before you're out there planting if it's going to sprout, And I was reading like on peas, especially when it's cool, you can pre-sprout them and then just go put them right in the ground.
I've been trying to do that usually about 4 weeks out because a lot of them tend to grow real quick. Don't take near as long as the other stuff to grow, but I'm gonna get is it diatomaceous earth, I think is what it's called this year. I was reading up on that because last year we had the Colorado potato beetles. They got in a patch like 2 years ago, and then they were worse last year. I mean, every day we were going down there, and I had a little thing of kerosene, and we're going on and picking them off and dumping them either in the kerosene, or I was just going in and just hand squishing them like war of love and just killing as many as I could find. And
so last time I grew potatoes, I think the potato beetles, I don't know if they were potato beetles, but these were like little silver kind of metallic looking backed beetles that were eating the potato plants. And I thought potato beetles were like red or something, but they ate the crap out of my potatoes. I still had a ton of potatoes. It's like,
they stripped. They would have stripped everything bare if we wouldn't have been on them. But even being on them, they chewed them quite a bit, and so we didn't get as many potatoes last year as previous years.
I almost always get some type of beetle, I think, in my beans too. They eat a bunch of them, but I always get plenty of beans, so I don't worry too much about it. Now, I've had the cucumber beetles before, and it's weird because they left the cucumbers alone, but they attacked the cantaloupe and killed them. So cucumber beetles must be misnamed. They're probably cantaloupe beetles. I don't know, but that's what they liked.
Yeah, there's always something, but I'm gonna try that. Try to get a bad stuff, and then get a flower sifter, and go over all my plants.
And then check the leaves.
With that, give that a try. We tried. What was it? Neem oil. We've tried neem oil before too, and that didn't work real well. But then somebody commented on the channel that maybe I was using the wrong product or something. I guess there's a different type of neem oil they were talking about. Because the stuff I was working on, I mean, it had kind of a minty, like, kind of weird smell, but it seemed to affect anything. Like, it still was getting the squash bugs, still was getting.
I tried neem oil on
cucumber beetles,
and it did nothing. Like, I bought it in a spray bottle at Tractor Supply, some earth-friendly neem oil stuff. I just like sprayed it right on the squash bugs, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't care." I think I've heard that like soapy water is one of the best things for them, but I haven't tried that yet. So, I mean, usually I do squash bugs, but I do squash. So.
Yeah, there was another thing I saw a guy doing where he took really sticky packaging tape and wrapped it, side out around his hand, and it went under the leaves, and was able to basically get the eggs off the plants. But he had to go out there and examine all the leaves, but that worked. And he'd get them on the packaging tape, and then he would just water up, crush them, or throw them away.
I usually
and that seemed to work. So
things are ripe by the time I'm getting them, so I don't worry too much about them. Like my pumpkins are ready to come out by the time they get infested with them. So, you know, I've never done too much, or the white powdery mildew is usually the bigger problem, you know. But on my summer squashes, I'll just keep growing them, or I'll plant another seed when I put the plant in the ground. And so when it gets infested with squash bugs or it gets white powdery mildew, I rip that one out and let the next one start growing, you know, because they grow so fast.
Yeah, it's a strategy. The other thing I read too on it is if you can figure out their life cycle, like when they're in whatever the stages are, you can plant your stuff so that it's off their cycle, like where they've already reproduced and germinated, like they're kind of doing their, or not germinated, but they're kind of past that stage of eggs or whatever. Yeah. Sometimes you can stuff later and avoid the or earlier and avoid kind of the season. Which I don't know, a couple of years ago we did cucumbers that way. We were able to start them pretty early because it seemed like the weather was warmer earlier than normally would be. I had cucumbers through like May, and then got pretty much everything we wanted, and pest came and burned everything.
So I've planted my cucumbers early before. Yeah, but it seems like until June they don't start to grow. Like you put them in the ground, they're this tall, and they stay this tall till like mid-June when it gets hot, and then they just take off. I haven't had much luck planting them earlier. Yeah. Like I'll put them in May 15th, but they're not growing much till June 15th. You know.
Now you're doing tobacco this year, right?
Yeah, they haven't sprouted yet. I've got them planted. I've got the Kentucky 21 burlap, and I've got the Virginia. I call it the Virginia blend, but I think it's actually called like Virginia Brightleaf. And those are two strains that do extremely well in Ohio, especially the Brightleaf, because it's once it's 3 to 4 inches high and you plant it, you only have to. It's 55 days to maturity, and so they'll get about 5 feet tall. The burlap can get like 9 feet tall. It's amazing. They're such tiny seeds. It's a little tiny envelope with 1,000 seeds in it. It's like.
So then, what are you going to do with the tobacco? Are you going to roll it in the cigarettes, or?
Yeah. So you let it grow until it flowers, and then when it flowers, you break it off. So the Kentucky burlap is a hybrid, so I won't save those seeds. I might let one of the Virginias go to seed and just leave the flower on it, and then the seeds are in the flower. But you break the flower off, because if it goes to seed, then it gets bitter. You won't want to smoke it. And then you just wait like a week after you break the flower off, and you cut the leaves off, you tie them, and you hang them until they're dry. And they'll be dry like late November, early December. And then I just run it through my crosscut paper shredder. And you take the stems out, run it through the crosscut paper shredder, roll it up, and smoke it. So I've done the Virginia.
So do they sell?
I've done the Virginia blend before, but
so do you have to buy filters?
Oh, I think there's a delay.
Yeah. So do you have to buy filters?
You buy the little cigarette tubes, and then I have a machine. You put the tobacco in a little hopper, and it's electric, and you just stick the tube on the end. It's like, oh, and it loads the tobacco in the tube and shoots a cigarette out the side. And so, like the little tubes, you get 200 of them for like $1.45. So it's, a carton of name brand cigarettes right now is $70. I can roll a carton for like $1.45. if the leaf is whole, you can sell it as a whole leaf. But if you de-stem it, or especially if you shred it, but anytime you take the stem out, you can no longer sell it. You can use it for your own use, and you might even I think you could give somebody a cigarette or something. That's fine, but you can't sell it as tobacco because there's no state tax on it. So it's kind of like the same amount of a crime as making moonshine and selling it without paying tax on it. So. I can't sell it, but I can smoke it for my own use. And
yeah, I get a buddy at work. He's into all the natural stuff, like alternative medicine and all of this stuff, and he's always telling me, like, you didn't see the Native Americans getting cancer from smoking. It's from all those chemicals they put in those cigarettes. That's what's killing people.
Well, they do. They put.
And I was like, well, I can't.
Better. And I was gonna say hi to if it's not broken, don't fix it. I saw your comment there. But yeah, so most of those chemicals are actually in the paper that help it burn. That's where the formaldehyde and stuff is. So probably still getting that unless I put it in a pipe and smoke it. Tobacco is not great for you, but I'm addicted, so I might as well save as much money as I can while I'm addicted. I'm really looking forward to creating some fake Facebook accounts and going into the Mittleider gardening group, Jim Kennard's group, and just plastering pictures of my tobacco plants on Mittleider all over the place, because I mentioned that one time that I was going to use Mittleider to grow tobacco, and he got like all bent out of shape about that. So I'm like, oh, any plant that's put on this earth, I put it here for us to consume it. So.
Oh shit! Yeah, notice what David, the LDS prepper, has been putting a lot more videos up and bringing back some of his old stuff. And I guess he's selling the micro minerals too. And
yeah, I think maybe
he's got a tagline now.
I think him and Jim kind of had a little bit of a falling out when he took all his videos and stuff down, but I guess they're friends again. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but I'm glad that he's back and doing videos. And it's really cool that he's like putting his face in his videos now. Like forever, I watched his videos. I'm like, I wonder what he looks like. And the only time I ever got a hint what he might actually look like was when he was doing the canning butter in the microwave video, which I think is deadly and dangerous. But when they closed the door, his face was reflected in the door, and I like paused it. I'm like, oh, that's what he looks like.
Oh shit! Yeah. Have you been on his store?
He's
got a website. He's got a store where he sells.
I looked at his store a while back, and he at that time he wasn't running the special on the. This was before he released that video where he had the special on it. He had the Texas Weekly Feed thing there, but it was like $5 more than it was to buy it from Grow Food. So I was like, well, I'm not buying that, but I might go back and buy some more and stock up. But I have a lot, so I've got like 10 years worth already. I don't know if I really need any more at the moment, but I'm thinking about starting a little store because I've had a lot of people ask me about my gardening hammer, which is just a cross peen hammer with a steel plate welded on the back. So I was thinking I could have them cut me a bunch of steel plates out on the shear at work and weld them up and maybe sell my gardening hammers. And then the other thing is I want to make a 1/4-inch steel plate bracket that will go in the middle of the T-frame and leg bolt through it, so you don't have to put the 45-degree angle supports up on the T-frame. So you can just do the 2 posts and it's strong enough. So
yeah,
about just having them cut those out on the plasma table and just like cut me like hundreds of them in a big like 8 by 10 foot piece of steel, because they kind of stack together like Tetris blocks on that machine. So it just, you wouldn't have any wasted steel. And maybe I could paint those and offer those for sale. Like maybe start a little Etsy store or something with some of my gardening things that I use. Maybe I'll make a few dollars, or maybe I'll spend a whole lot of money on steel and processing and get nothing. So
Well, if you do that, maybe we can sell my soil knife on there too. My tent stake.
Yeah, yeah. And say,
We'll bend a couple.
if it's not broken face, it says, "Do you guys believe in all that natural oils and minerals?" So I don't know. Like, so I guess I use natural minerals in my weekly feed for Mittleider, but as far as gardening, Charlie's probably more natural than I am. I use NPK, and I get Epsom salt and the Mittleider weekly pack, and I build my fertilizers. And many of them come from natural sources. The nitrogen does not. It's urea, which comes from oil or natural gas. And phosphorus is just the phosphate rock that's acidified with acid. But it's a commercial-based fertilizer, really, with some natural stuff in it. So I'm not concerned about natural in the soil, but I don't use harmful pesticides or herbicides around my garden unless I get really desperate. So,
Yeah, there's still a little bit of a lag in the video. Have you noticed that? Is there a lag on your end?
I'm noticing like there's a lag. Yeah, what for you coming back to me like after I stop talking? There's a little bit of a lag there. It's probably your Wi-Fi because mine's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, mine's coming through where at the lag in the video, but as far as hearing you, it's in bits. Like I'm getting bits of your conversation.
Let me make sure I'm on 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi here. Okay, I'm gonna try to go to 5 gigahertz. All right, I'm on 5 gigahertz now.
Just check and make sure.
Am I coming through any better now?
Are you on 5G?
Yeah, I just switched from my 2.4 gig Wi-Fi to my 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, so I'm hoping that helps.
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
I think it's probably your kids using all the internet bandwidth. There's 20 of them up there trying to watch the internet at the same time.
Yeah, I tell you, with the 5 kids, they, and 3 of them have devices and stuff like that. When in the one, yeah, I mean, we could have quite a bit of streaming going on, depending on what's happening or what time it is.
Yeah,
and that could be what it is. I know there's probably 2 kids upstairs that are streaming right now, doing their thing. I know 2 of them are baking cookies because I can hear the mixer going.
Well, maybe next time I do this, I'll just run an Ethernet cable over because my Wi-Fi router is just over there, or not my VPN router is just over there, so I can plug right into that and just have Ethernet, baby. See if that helps. But I mean, this internet's been like rock solid, so I don't know if it's me. Although I'm sure my son and wife are using the internet right now, but. Usually we've been able to just like all stream full 1080p all the time, and it looks beautifully fine. So.
Well, what I might do is just take a little walk with this and see what if it improves. See if the signal any better if I'm
I'll see if it's not
out
broken.
underneath.
It's saying it's your Wi-Fi. It says I'm coming through fine. You might have to go stand right beside your water. I mean, usually your live streams are pretty good. Occasionally, it drops out or I get a little glitch on it, but normally,
Yeah, usually they are. I usually don't have. Let's walk over here and see what happens.
could be because I got the
Go up.
free lab account instead of the paid one.
There's the dog.
Are you sure you're connected to your Wi-Fi and not your 4G or something on your phone?
Yeah, so now I'm sitting like right beside the wire router, so it should be pretty good.
Still kind of breaking up. Are you sure your wireless is turned on and you're not going through your 4G?
Yeah, let me I can check that real quick.
Humphrey Bear wants me to show him my Corona's lockdown supplies. Do I have jam? I do have some jam. I have some lemon jam, some jelly, I guess. I have lemon jelly and hot pepper jelly. I don't eat it, but the family likes it. And grape jelly. Some of it I canned myself, and some of it's the family, or some of it's just store bought for the family or whatever. Oh, it says, "Oh, how happy's device isn't connected." We'll see if he comes back, maybe. Oh, yeah. Here's a... Still kind of.
See if that's any better.
Still kind of breaking up. So I think
Just,
they want to see some of my prepping supplies. So let's see here.
okay.
So there's the toilet paper. And that's the important thing. As long as we got the toilet paper, we'll be fine, right? Let me switch to the screen.
That's hilarious, dude.
Oh no, I don't want to share my screen. Hang on, how do I? Oh, I think I can go like that. Oh nope. I'll put it on the. And so, lots of baking soda. Let's see here. Canned goods and stuff there. Some number 10 cans and stuff. More canned goods.
Man, you're stacked up.
And then more stuff over here. So I have to keep plenty of Diet Green Fizzy soda. This is just the downstairs stuff. I got more upstairs, but potato chips for the kids. My wife's got to have almond milk, so we got a bunch of that. And ketchup, peanut butter. That's the important thing to keep the wife happy there. And there's extra like laundry detergent and stuff down there. And
now, where's all your bullets?
They're over here. Some of them. There's some upstairs. There's some guns in here. This light is not real good over here, but shotguns, SKSs, most of them got some 22s, double barrel shotgun. And then there's a bunch of some ammo cans and stuff up here with some ammo, but the majority of the ammo's upstairs. And extra canning supplies. And that kind of all these shelves are full of canning jars and supplies. And a little juicer thing. I don't even know why we have that. I mean, that's the part here. And then, of course, there's more buckets in the shed, and I'm moving more buckets back from storage. So, uh, and then there's just kind of stuff sitting in the middle that doesn't show up, like packs of paper towels. And then there's all kinds of like stuff in. Let's see if I can. Like this is mostly, I think, just beans. So I got all kinds of different, beans here. And I've got like big buckets of elbow macaroni and cheese sauce and flour. And then I've also got like these buckets are what I call my grab and go buckets. They're just a mixture of different foods and spices for long-term storage, sealed in Mylar, vacuum sealed. So if I have to get out quick, I can grab a few of those buckets. Each one should feed us for about 2 weeks.
Wow.
Water storage. And there's more water storage down there. So yeah, I have stuff everywhere. So
Well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'll switch it back over to double screen here. Kitty cat. This is the newest addition to the family here. This is she's always curious, especially about what's going on at the plant table.
Is that cat indoor, outdoor, or just indoor?
This is an indoor cat. So we found her on Facebook. We wanted another calico because ours died from kidney failure. So she's real curious and just happy. When we got her, she just she used a little shoebox lid as her litter box when we first got her. She was so tiny. So, and she was fully infested with worms. It took like 6 treatments to get the worms out of her. And we got her fixed, and she's finally got all of her shots a few $100s later.
Now our cat is
smart. Like she'll when the timer's going off on the oven the other day, she was up on top of the stove trying to push the button with her paw, because she sees us do it. She'll try to reach for the basement doorknob when she wants to come into the basement and meow. Never really had a cat do that before.
That's funny. And we've got a big tomcat. He's probably in my daughter's room right now. We usually end up having to put him to bed. He's actually got his own room, the laundry room where we got the washer and dryer. It's got a door to it, and there's a stand-up cupboard, and he's got a cardboard box in the bottom shelf. And so we'll lock him up at night because he has a tendency to pee on things.
Yeah.
So we want to keep an eye on him. So at night we lock him up so he can't do any of that. And then during the day we make sure he's upstairs and not downstairs doing stuff he shouldn't be doing. For the most part, he's pretty good. Every once in a while he makes a mess, but yeah, he's in the back room now. Hey, did you make my cookies? That's good. What'd you make? What'd you make? Yeah, chocolate chip.
And it's a new recipe though. It's got weird stuff in it. So.
What'd you put in it?
Lime juice, oats, salmon, and then all the regular chocolate.
Okay, well I guess we'll see how it turns out.
The dough's good.
All right, we'll try it. Yeah, it's going through my books tonight, kind of looking on the shelf. I found some good ones I'm going to take a look at. See, they might be still over here. Hey, child, what are you doing? This one, since we're getting the this Bountiful Harvest grow boxes, I found this. I forgot I had this.
Huh.
but look kind of interesting. So I'm going to take a look through that and see what else I can do. Get some ideas for things, because we got four of those boxes. Though I think mental note, next time I'm not going to start any of those boxes to probably May, unless I can get like dedicated lights for them, because the weather here is just so unpredictable, and having to mess with wheeling them in, wheeling them out, just it hasn't worked out real well. They've been in the garage by default here lately. So anyway, I guess probably starting this weekend, I can start leaving them out, because I think we're getting closer to the point where there won't be like the heavy frost like there has been the last 2 weeks, where there's been some mornings where it's been, where I've had to scrape the windshield. I don't know, it's just the location, the house or whatever, but so I found that one, and then there's another one. It's going to take a look at. I got this a while back too. It's got a lot of neat pictures in it. But then the book that I found, it's actually the book that we got when I started getting gardening. It's this, I don't know if you ever heard of this guy. See, is that showing up? Probably not. His name is Shepherd Ogden. And they actually had they had a seed store. Actually, I think his wife still runs. They ended up getting divorced or whatever. But anyway, it's a step-by-step guide to organic gardening. It's kind of what I started out with, and it had some really neat stuff. This was actually discontinued. It was taken out of circulation from the library. I think we got it at a book sale for like $2.
Well,
that.
You can get rid of all those books. You just need the Mittleider gardening method book. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, which I do have. I was looking around, and actually I've got a binder for the Mittleider stuff too. And I got that the full color digital course. You have that? Did you end up getting that? The course book?
So I have an old one. I haven't got like the new one that they redid and put it in color and stuff or whatever. So I'm still just using the old one. And I did download, so for the soil bed gardening, they have the new one for free. And so I have a copy of that downloaded, which has updated planting schedules and stuff in it. So I kind of use that, and because I kind of do grow in soil, even though it's kind of built like a grow box.
Well, I tell you what, I could do. Got all that stuff on a Google Drive, and I shared it with Frank, and I can put you on there too, and you'd have access to view it or whatever you want to do with it. I think it's got read write stuff. I mean, I paid for it, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably supposed each person's supposed to
anyway
copy. I don't know. If I'll read it, if I like it, I'll go pay for it, I guess. Jim Kenner's gonna make a living.
But yeah, there's some other cool stuff. I was watching a video today that you ever seen what's his name? Diego Footer?
No. I don't think so. I occasionally watch MI.
So he's got a lot of stuff. Yeah, he runs a company. I guess he does the paper potter or paper pot transplanter. Like he sells those and products and all that. But he had a episode today where he was I guess it was like some kind of compost. He had a catchphrase for it. Bio factory, some bio composting, or it's basically just a pallet where he's got a 6 foot tall cattle panel or concrete reinforced wire he's putting in, and then lines that with this woven paper or fabric, and then has 3 of these PVC drainage tubes, or no, there's 5. He's drilled holes where they are all perforated, like they've got holes throughout, but then he fills the whole thing with material, and then once it's settled down good, extracts the tubes, and so there's airflow through all that, and I guess you create a huge amount of compost or whatever. Again, if you weren't using Mittleider.
Well, so, I mean, we're not against compost and Mittleider, but so, we don't want to put animal waste products in our compost. So they need to be plants, and they need to be composted correctly in the anaerobic environment or aerobic environment, whatever that is. And then it also needs to be covered so that the rain doesn't leach out the nutrients that are in it. And it needs to be done right so that it gets up to the right temperature to kill all the pests and disease and weed seeds that could be in it. So normally I just avoid all that and use the weekly feed. But I'm not saying I wouldn't try to do some compost if, it was an SHTF situation and I was I had no way to get weekly feed. I'd fall back to some more traditional methods and give it a shot.
Yeah, what about talking about Mittleider? Have you tried starting seeds in the stand sawdust mix?
Yeah,
like some of the guys are doing online. You see them doing.
I'm not a big believer in the sand and sawdust mix. So when David still had his group, you just saw post after post after post of deficiencies, most of the time nitrogen deficiencies, and they were all sand and sawdust gardens. And I've seen some great ones, but I think a lot of it might be the type of nitrogen that's being used, because I think you just don't have the bacteria that you need to get that urea broken down into 2 nitrogen cycles to get bioabsorbable. And we know like mulch and wood shavings suck the nitrogen out, right, when you first put them down until they compost for a year. So I really have no desire to really do the sand and sawdust thing. I think it might work a little bit better if you're using, like, if you could get ammonium nitrate that's more available to the plant. But I think the problem is that urea, I put my weekly feed in at least a week before planting to give it a chance to break down. And you have to get urea under the soil right away, or you have to water it in and dissolve it as it goes up into the air. So I usually put my weekly feed down and water it good so all the nitrogen is dissolved into the soil. The Mittleider watering system.
Yeah, we're.
Go ahead.
You said the Mittleider watering system?
Yeah, so the Mittleider watering system is supposed to dissolve the weekly feed, but it does not. Like, it says in the book, like, you use these jets so they put on enough pressure to dissolve the weekly feed or whatever, but they're just spaced too far apart and they won't dissolve most of it. So I just find that I have to hand water my weekly feed in anyway. Early in the season, we're usually getting rain every other day, so I don't have to water. So that's why I'm just hand watering this year. It's just the watering system is kind of a pain, and it gets water to the plants, but it doesn't help out the weekly feeding schedule at all. And I can only do one bed at a time, so I have to look at getting some type of a zone system, which is going to be expensive. So I go out and it just takes 5 minutes to water all my beds real quick once a day. And since my soil has a lot of clay in it, it just holds that moisture all day long. So I don't have to water multiple times.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with all that. Another thought I had was maybe just making a big batch of that constant feed, which, which is basically the weekly feed, but you're diluting it and basically making a foliar spray and just feeding the plants that way, at least until they get bigger. Going along it, to get everything in the ground, it'd probably be pretty impractical to do that. It would take a really long time, I think, to spray everything down, unless I had a couple different sprayers and I put the kids on it.
Yeah.
Had them going down the road with it, but I see that maybe even being more economical too, because it's only 1 teaspoon per gallon of water. So if
how far are you
went that route, I'd probably ultimately be using less.
Oh, I think I kind of lost you.
Am I still breaking up?
Yeah. I was asking, like, how far apart do you plant your tomato plants in your garden?
It depends on what the crop is. Like tomatoes, I'll put them 18-inch apart. The cabbages and stuff like that, I'll put them about a foot apart. And then the lettuce, here lately, I've been just sowing it real quick and letting it grow up like a leaf, and then just cut and come again instead of like growing the individual heads, just growing it as one big row. So I'm probably using a lot more than what I really need to do that, but it's a lot easier because I'm basically just throwing the seed in the trench or whatever I dig out, and then watering the whole thing, and then it all comes up, and ultimately I end up having way more than what I need.
Like, in a 20-foot bed, right, I would plant 60 tomato plants on one side. It would be 2 rows of 30 tomato plants at 8 inches staggered. So, it's, around 60 tomato plants in 20 feet. So that only gives me 20 feet to water. So when you actually start planting, Mittleider growing close together and growing vertically, the watering's not going to take nearly as long because there's just not as much actual garden space to water.
Yeah. Yeah, because to your point, I think that's what the book calls for growing tomatoes is, like you said, the 6 inches apart and then just alternating, how you're trellising them. You have one go up. So essentially they're spaced a foot apart because every other one is in a different direction. So as they grow out, you've got the spacing for that. It seems like, though, in the field setting, since there's not a lot of out there, what at least with the tomatoes I've got going so far as the years I've pruned them, they did okay, but if I pruned too much, they got sun skull.
Yeah,
because it wasn't like in a hot house or a shaded area like some of these other places. So like last year, what I ended up, and then the other thing too was the soil-borne diseases. Pruning them and stuff. I was just opening up an area on a plant where that stuff, the soil could splash up into that, or seemed like they were more susceptible to, and that type. Like last year, I did very little pruning. Just let them go as one big stand, and they did pretty good. They did eventually get I guess some blight or some what's the other thing they get?
Fusarium wilt.
Blight's a big one, whether it's early blight or late blight. There's another disease they can get. I can't think of the name of but I don't know if I got some T-frames up, I'd be inclined to do the vertical a little bit. I mean, I've got a trellis that goes the whole length of the garden. It's not like a T-frame. Like I can't alternate the direction that I'm training those tomatoes up. They're all going straight up,
So like I pruned
in a line. So
tomatoes. Sometimes I swear that like my tomatoes, I'm killing them because I prune them so heavily because they're so close together. But there's still foliage at the top. So when the rains and stuff's coming down, it's not really like coming right to the dirt to splash it up anymore once the plants are up there. And sun scald's not an issue either because the plants are so close together that they're fading each other out. I don't think since I've done Mittleider growing on the T-frames that I've had any tomato ever get sun scald. About the worst that happens to me is if I don't water for a day or two because I'm being lazy and then I go out and water them all at once, they'll split on me. Which if they split and they're close enough to being ripe, I just throw them in the freezer because I'm gonna get them, blanch them and make sauce out of them anyway. But and then the early blossoms, sometimes those tomatoes, especially on determinate varieties, will get the blossom end rot because it was too cold for the uptake of the calcium. So a lot of times on those early May ones, if they set tomatoes, I just pick those off while they're babies and let it grow new ones when it's warmer. But I'll come out and help you build some T-frames.
Yeah, I'll have to. It would be kind of interesting to set up a T-frame in that area that I'm normally doing the tomatoes. Right now, they're metal frames. Like basically, I took electrical conduit. We've seen them. I got them. Yeah. I trimmed them down to where now it's like reachable. I mean, at first I started out, they were like 10 or 8 foot. I had to get on a ladder it was just like real impractical. And I was like, you know what? This is kind of most of the time with the way the season goes, by the time I get stuff planted, they're coming along. I mean, they start getting disease or they start, when they're 6-7 foot tall anyway. I'm going to go much higher than that. Except for Larry tomatoes, they could probably go 12, 14, 15 foot tall because they tend to grow really quick. But the other ones, it seemed like by the time I was getting them, 6-7 foot tall, it was, late September. I was going to be in the season anyway. So I was just like, screw this whole ladder stuff thing. Let's get this kind of height here, like 6, maybe 6 foot tall max. And I could still go above it, if I need to, a foot or two without it completely flopping over because I would be, training it up with the twine and all that. And it's worked out. It worked out pretty good last year, but what you're talking about, I could probably double the production if I made the top part wider where I could alternate vines 6 inches apart.
You could just do 2 T-frames at a 10-foot section, right? Like be pretty cheap, and just try that 10-foot section planted that way and see what kind of results you get. Because I always say like, if you're gonna grow nothing else with Mittleider, grow tomatoes because Mittleider grows amazing tomatoes, even if you don't use it for other stuff. That year you came out and saw the garden, I was still picking ripe tomatoes in November and putting them in the freezer before we had, I think we'd already had a couple frosts by that point. It just hadn't been a real hard frost yet to kill them off. That was just like, and then I was canning up tomato sauce and salsa like all winter long out of the freezer. It was insane. I was picking, in July and August, I was picking 5-gallon buckets every single day. Just, just was crazy.
Well, thought here's what I could do. You've been out there, you've seen it in my videos. Maybe what I do is take all that cattle paneling off, both the trellises, because I've got the conduit that's wired and it's secured to those T-posts all the way down.
Yeah.
And plant the tomato down the middle between the two metal trellises and then string them up. String one to one trellis, string the other to the other, and do 6 inches apart all the way down.
I'm
and
hoping
in that way I can still,
because it's a lot of weight when you got them that close together, full of tomatoes.
Yeah, I've got them where they're in I think 6-8 foot spans.
Okay.
So it's not like a really long span per se. It would be. It's a thought. I don't know. I might give that some thought. I may do that this year.
Yeah.
And then you may see a video where the this is all dilapidated, where it's falling over, and then I'm.
So like 4x4s are kind of pricey. I've often wondered why you couldn't just take 2x4s and just double them up, because it would be like 2x4s are like half the cost of a 4x4. Like,
yeah,
build your T-frames that way.
Yeah, well, I might give that some thought. See if maybe that's the route I go. I don't know. I'll do 1 row sauce tomatoes, like do my San Marzanos one row, and then I'm doing my slicers on the other row and doing it that way.
I just don't have great luck.
As long as I could get the same amount of plant.
I really like indeterminate plants, and
What's that?
I like the supersonics because you can slice them, but they are a great canning tomato. Now I'm not super concerned if I get the occasional tomato seed in my pasta sauce. Some people are really weird about that, but I usually freeze them, and then the skin falls right off. Throw them in the food mill, run them through, and then make sauce or whatever out of them. But they're super productive. They're indeterminate. They come in throughout the season, so you keep up with them. One of the problems I always have with Romas is they come in all at once, and then I run out of freezer space, and I'm trying to can as much as I can of them. But it takes a long time to make pasta sauce because you got to reduce that stuff down and process them, and So I try to freeze as much as I can and then process it through the winter. But I don't know, I kind of like determine it.
Yeah, it does take a long time. We were talking about that earlier today, just about how we want to go about trying to preserve all this stuff, because it's one thing to grow it, but then you got to do something with it, And
you got like one of those
last year it was kind of
handle on it, like that goes like this. Because what you do is you cut the handle off and you hook your drill up to it.
Yeah. Yeah, we're looking at getting a food mill, like a decent one, making that investment, because like we got the Vitamix, and that thing works pretty good, but the sauce, even though you get more fiber and the seeds and the skins and all that stuff, the sauce doesn't taste as good as the sauce where you get the skins off the tomatoes, and you get the seeds out. It's got a little bit of a bitter taste if you just process all of it in. as opposed to taking the time to mill that stuff out. And so I think we're going to bite the bullet this year and get a food mill or something, hopefully to make it a little easier on separating that stuff. Because I think last year, I'm boiling all the tomatoes. We're peeling skins off, dicing them. I tried doing a little bit of that stuff. And then freezing, I guess that's another way you get skins off the tomatoes is freezing them. But like you said, you run out of freezer space.
Yeah.
Trying to put that stuff up,
Freezing is the easiest.
In August, September, just crazy.
And
yeah.
As far as like the supersonics, they're really nice because they have a little bit thicker of a skin. So like if they're frozen, they come out when you thaw them, you just give them a little squeeze like this, and they just pop right out of the skin. I'll go ahead and core them before I throw them in the freezer.
That's great. Well, I hope they do well. I'm curious to see, because I've got a whole flat of them. How many of those were you wanting anyway?
I
want as many as I can give you,
6 or something, but I'll take as many as you want to give me, because I'm probably going to plant more than I originally thought I was. The corona got worse.
Yeah, because right now there's 18. I got 18 that are going right now in the tray. And I've got altogether I got 8 trays of tomatoes tray. Well, except for the last tray, I've got like 4 less than that. I think there's 14 going in that tray. So however many that is, 18 times 7, and then another 14 on top of that is how many tomatoes I got going right now, plant-wise.
That's a lot of tomatoes.
So what is that? 100? That's like 150 plants, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something like that. But I got a couple different people that want stuff from me this year. So it's going to be kind of neat. I'll be able to, I got some people that want a little bit of help, I think, setting some stuff up. So, but I'm real curious to see how that that DWC tomato does this year, and whether it's true to type 2, because sometimes, growing all the different varieties, stuff cross pollinates, I remember one year I thought I had pink brandywines, and when the tomatoes, like, they weren't potato leaf, it was, the leaves were different shape. So I was like, well, crap, that thing cross pollinated. I got something, I don't know what this is. This is something different.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't think
so it'd be interesting to see how it plays out.
But they're really close together. They share all the same diseases and pests.
I think we got some cookies done. Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Look at this.
You're the one out nuts, so those are for Ruby and Olivia and Selah, but you can have.
So I can have anything here?
Yeah, probably not all of them, but.
Well, just take one and leave it on the counter, and then take the tray.
Good.
We'll try it. That is pretty good.
It's a new recipe. Yeah. It's not any kind of chocolate.
Good job. She says she put lime juice in these.
It's not a hotel.
I don't know what purpose that serves, but
it adds like acidity or something. Makes it react with the butter. I don't really know, but
Well, so what's the plan tomorrow? Is there anything you're gonna be planting? I know I talked about possibly bringing my car over.
Yeah, you could probably bring it over. I'm probably just gonna try to get the last load or two out of my storage unit and clean that out tomorrow. But I can take a look at your car. I'm not really gonna be planting anything until the weather warms up. All of my cherry bell radishes I planted, it looks like one or two of them might have germinated. So those seeds must be bad. But all of the honeysuckle radishes are coming up and growing just fine. So if I do get one or two of those cherry bells, since they're an heirloom, I'm going to try to let one of them go to seed, so I'll have some fresh seeds. But that's okay. I don't like radishes that much anyway, so I'm fine with that. My peas have sprouted and started to come to the ground now, though. So.
Oh, so the seed was still good, huh?
You broke up. Say that again.
Yeah, I said that pea seed was still good.
Oh yeah, the peas are coming up just fine. Yeah, and I didn't need nearly as many as you gave me, so I saved the rest, and then I gave a handful to a friend that's still in the garden, and theirs are coming up too. So.
Yeah, it's something that we're gonna try. I'll try to plant those peas in because I've still got a bowl of them, and there's another guy. It's purple. We're gonna try tomorrow, but yeah, I'll talk to my wife and confirm if, depending on how things go, I could let you know. Are you gonna be around pretty much all day tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, just call me to make sure I'm not like over at the.
You said you're in a couple.
But I'll be here. Yeah, I take a look at. I think you wanted to look at the belt tensioner or whatever, and you're losing antifreeze again, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if there's like maybe because I mean it's not losing a ton of antifreeze really. Like I topped it off today. I was looking at it, and I topped it off maybe 3 weeks ago, and it was down like, there's the fill line like where it's supposed to be, and it was down where I could see a little bit, but not. It was almost to the point where I couldn't see it. You know what I mean? So I think I lost like, I don't know, a quart. I don't know how much that reservoir can hold.
Yeah, so I mean, you'll have to drop it off because I'll have to let it cool down completely so I get the radiator cap off of it, and then I'll make sure the radiator's topped completely to the top, and then pressurize it, and then I should be able to see where it's leaking. I mean, we just did the radiator in it, so it's probably not that, but there's the coolant elbows. There's a couple common spots on those where they start leaking.
Yeah.
And if
then the belt tensioner, I guess, as far as that squeak noise.
I was saying, like, if your tensioner is bad, then you have to replace those coolant elbows when you do the tensioner anyway, because the coolant actually runs through the tensioner on that car. It's weird.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I'll try to do, I'll try tonight and see if I can get that over there just to see, and if it's not a big deal or if you get time to fix it, probably just go ahead if there's a problem. I'm assuming something's wrong with it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be losing antifreeze and the belt wouldn't be squeaking.
Well, I mean, so that's a Series 3 3.8. They're not as bad about the intake gaskets leaking. So we'll hope it's not that. But if the oil's not turning into milkshake, then it's probably not that. So it's probably just leaking a little bit somewhere else.
Yeah.
So we've done a water pump on that and a radiator on that in the past. So.
Okay. Yeah, and then I was talking to my friend that wants to give me that car,
Yeah. Yeah.
And we got to looking online because I thought the BMV here in town was doing stuff. According to the website, there are only 5 branches that are still open in Ohio, and they're only servicing commercial customers.
It's just insane.
So it looks like I can do anything right now. What's that?
What are people supposed to do if they need a car? I mean, like, I think that's an essential service, but it's amazing. Like, most of the essential services that the government office offers are just like, oh yeah, we're closed.
Yeah, it is kind of funny how they're determining things, and I'm assuming all those people are furloughed, like they're not getting paychecks.
No, I know some people that work at Job and Family Services, and they haven't been to work in over a month, and they're still getting their normal paycheck. And they might have to take a phone call or something, but the vast majority of them aren't doing anything. So they get to keep all their benefits,
wow,
all their paychecks, and they're not doing anything.
Yeah, so I know today there's a big rigmarole because the governor's order finally came out this morning, and there's like 3 big changes that they added to it. I mean, they were kind of practice type stuff anyway, but it's kind of like mandatory now. And one of them was daily health assessments, like employees are required to do their own health to make sure they don't have any of the COVID symptoms or fever, anything like that. The second one was they have to daily clean, disinfect their workstation every day. Each employee, almost face coverings. That was the most controversial because there's all these caveats. There's 5 or 6 caveats to it, and the actual order says basically as long as you're in your assigned work area, working on your assigned work area, you don't have to wear a mask. So kind of basically everybody they were issued, we issued 2 masks to everybody today. As long as they're in their work area and not moving around through the company or whatever, they won't have to wear it, it sounds like. But if they go from one work cell to the other, they got to put it on. To enter the building, they got to put it on.
Like,
I don't know. It's just
supposed to make us start wearing them on Monday or something. I'm probably not. I'm just gonna wear them if somebody important walks by.
so most of my day today was spent developing all the guidance and like the I guess the memos that were going to be like issued company wide. Well, we did issue them at the end of the day, stuff like that. But a few weeks ago, the health department, we were on the poo-poo list where somebody had reported, saying we were non-essential and that we weren't following best practices, this, that, and the other. And they had like a list of like 150 companies, and they wouldn't tell us who said anything. But there was all this protocol we had to go through and like 4 questions we had to address, to show that we were doing what we were supposed to. So we ended up coming back with a pretty lengthy response and sent them like 12 PDF attachments, like basically inundated them with information like, oh, you want documentation? Well, here you go.
I don't know. I mean, I'd
they promptly
be laid off right now. I would be making more money if I was laid off than being at work, and I wouldn't have to work. But I don't know. I mean, if things do get tough where I'm at, I'd probably go in and offer to take a layoff or, just make me part-time for a while. I wouldn't mind the time off. And if they laid me off, I get the unemployment and the extra COVID unemployment. If they just let me work part time, I'm fine with that too, because I can make more money at home in my garage and I can't sit at that desk, you know.
Yeah, there's a couple people at work that have already expressed that. Like, if it comes to that and you need to lay me off or tell me not to come in or whatever, I'm all for it. You know, sign me up, basically, right?
Yeah. So you
well,
get
and that's the other thing too.
300 and something plus another 600 every week. That's more than I make now.
Yeah, and it's what, tax free, I think.
So the
if you're on
300 is tax
unemployment,
free,
don't
and the
they?
300 and something is not tax free. But it'd still be more to take home than what I bring home now.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And then the other thing too, let's come out. So like, it came out with that payroll protection program where small businesses could apply for the basically the grant. Well, it's a loan, but it ends up being a grant for the most part, like forgive as long as you don't lay people off or you maintain a certain number of full-time employees and you use it strictly for payroll expense, like business operations, like utilities, things like that. Well, apparently, and I'm sure you've seen it in the news, but like Harvard, Shake Shack, like these high profile either institutions, businesses got into the program, got all this money, they don't really need it. And so then there was all this backlash, because there's these small companies that get money on the first round. And so anyway, they came back and said, well, okay, we're going to audit any company that got a loan of $2 million or more. We're going to audit that, and they're going to have to provide justification that basically they need that money. And so we're kind of looking at, because our company did $1 million. We got $1 million loan.
Wow.
So we're not caught up in that drag. We could see them back after they do that round, coming back and getting all the,
Well,
the next tier,
here's
and
the real
basically
problem.
making everybody pay that money back.
Like the real problem here is, so now they're paying people more money to sit at home unemployed than to work. But you're going to be required to maintain a certain number of workers in order not to have to repay the loan, which means you're going to have to double people's salaries or repay the loan.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. Whether or not we ultimately are on the hook for that, or if it's through like it was originally stated to us that it would be, that basically it's to help keep the business going, because I like business down like 40%,
Yeah.
and it's not something that's like sustainable on our end. I mean, they can weather it for a while, but if it stayed like that, I mean, eventually they'd have to start laying people off.
Like I could have got
And,
$1,000 under
so I
that
don't know.
on my YouTube channel, like because I run it as a business. I could have applied and got $1,000, but it's technically a loan that they're supposed to forgive, and I'm like, I don't trust that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how it all plays out, and then especially this fall, like when we get in the cold and flu season again. How's that all gonna play out? As far as
Yeah, are we going to go through another round of closures this fall? All I can say is I hope that Kings Island will open for a couple months in there somewhere and I can ride some coasters. If I can ride some coasters, I can get through another, stay at home order.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I know, is that like phase 3 or phase? How many phases are there? Maybe it's phase 3
Well, Disney World in Florida is
in
opening
terms of.
Monday, so we might be taking a trip to Florida because I need some coasters. They're doing they made a special app so that people check in on the app and then it tells them when it's their turn and they go get in line, so they're not standing in line and they stay 6 feet apart in line. They're only letting a certain number of people in the parks, like all the picnic areas and tables. They've spread those out so that people aren't going to be all jammed together. I don't see why Kings Island can't do something like that. And they're also they got some special steam ultraviolet thing. They spray the seats and the rides and stuff down in between every set of passengers. And then people who aren't in the same family have to sit apart in separate cars and they stagger them so they're not too close together. Let's just do that and open up the roller coasters.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, I could see them doing that as long as they could provide show that they're doing those things that prevent or reduce the spread of that stuff. And like you said, if Disney World's doing it, I don't see why other places couldn't follow their lead or whatever and get clearance to
if
things back up.
June and Kings Island's not open yet,
Though the governor,
I'm going to Orlando for a week.
Yeah, I mean that is the other alternative, right? Just go to a state that's a little more lax with all that stuff, and hopefully there's a roller coaster park in there that's open.
Yeah, Georgia doesn't have any good.
What about North Carolina?
Georgia's but you could get a haircut in Georgia.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that all works out. I think we'll be one of the last states for things to open up because we've been one of the more conservative states on all this stuff. Like one of the funds that locked everything down, and where other places are a little more
opening things up. They're going to discover that
open.
It's not making any difference in the rates of infection. It's not getting worse, and they'll probably just start opening stuff up faster. I'm really hoping that by June, Kings Island's open. So I don't care about all the little businesses opening again. I just want Kings Island.
Yeah, and then there's I don't know if you read in the news and stuff, but Sweden, countries like that aren't doing anything. They didn't close anything down. They didn't require people to do anything really. They've just been I think what they gave them general guidance on social distancing and whatever, but they didn't mandate anything or close anything down. It was basically they put the economy first. And so far, things haven't been real terrible there, at least not yet. So,
yeah.
We'll see what happens, following the news. They end up having a bunch of infections or, stuff happens. But there are, and then I think South Dakota, there's a state where the governor refused to do, didn't shut anything down. I'm thinking it was South Dakota, one of those states. And then there's stuff going on, I guess, down in Texas. There's they featured a story on this lady that basically shut down her salon, even though the governor's like she's like defiant. Hasn't shut it down. I don't know if they arrested her or not, but she got quite a following. People that are supportive of what she's doing. Civil disobedience, like Boston Tea Party type stuff.
Well, like GameStop tried to declare themselves an essential business.
Rebel against
They were going to stay open, and the governor said, "That's fine. We're taking the vendor's license away. You're no longer in business in this state." And then they changed their mind.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. But
well, it is after 11. I'm going to have to get off of here pretty soon.
What time is it, man? It's about 11 o'clock.
It's 11:05.
We've been streaming for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Still maintaining 3 viewers, too. I had to ban the weird guy that was trying to find out if I was bisexual or not.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, well, I should probably jump off here because we're going to try to get everybody in bed so I can get them up early so I can make work tomorrow. We're gonna try to get out Dad's house about 10:30. That's my plan, and get started on stuff. But then that's what I need her in too is time to get the car over to your house to take a look or just drop it off. Anytime this weekend you want to look at it or whatever. We could probably do that.
I mean, I'd say the sooner you get it here, the better, because I can look at it when I can look at it. But if you need it for a while, that's fine too. But you should be able to borrow like one of the Lincolns, right?
Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll hit Dad up early and see if I can borrow the Lincoln, and then tool around in that for a while.
They'd be like, "All right,
it is pretty nice."
Here's the keys.
Yeah. Well, I'll get the car over there earlier rather than later, and if I'll text you before I bring it over.
Okay.
So you're aware. If you're not there, I can just keys like in the mailbox or up on the safe there or wherever by the camera that you've got, that webcam by the mailbox.
Yeah, just put
you
them
still
in
got the webcam by the mailbox? Yeah. Well, we'll get it over there, and hopefully nothing super major is wrong with it.
Probably not. It probably needs a belt tensioner. It's got leaks somewhere.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna jump off. It's been good. Been fun.
Yep. We'll see you later.
All right, man. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Says I'm still live. Having trouble connecting. You are still live. In the broadcast, please. Okay, let me refresh this and see what happens.